So, quick snapshot one more time on what you're actually getting. Obviously, you've all joined the summit today. Anybody who hasn't been able to join the summit, or if you have friends that you think might have benefited from this, do let us know afterwards, because as you know, we are recording it. We'll be sending some snapshots out and happy to share that with everybody else. There's a guidebook for the program itself. You will have live video training sessions on Zoom over the course of the 12 weeks. The same with the mentoring sessions, which are drop-in sessions. So you can literally come along, you've got an issue with your homework, something that you're not quite sure, another business angle or question that you have, get it addressed. So you can literally drop in, drop out. You can stay for as long or as little time you like. It's entirely up to you. Homework lessons I've just touched on. The members area we've talked about, where you're getting the added bonuses, and the bonus planner, habit tracker, Facebook group, and then we'll be doing a finale in December. So that will be something to look forward to. So now I think it's time to hand over and start talking to our wonderful Rachael. So Rachael, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. I think I got to learn about Rachael through the IOD. And I think Rachael did a fantastic presentation, and also won an award at that as well, I believe. And I was very inspired by her journey, what she'd done, what she'd built, and the fact that she's marrying two of her passions together. So Rachael, tell us a little bit about Stable Manager.
Yes, so first of all, thanks very much for having me today. It's great to be here, especially in person. So yeah, I'm Rachael. I'm the CEO and founder of Stable Manager. I'm a software engineer and a Grand Prix dressage rider, and I sort of married those two passions together to create my own business. So I've built the platform, and it's a platform of mobile and web apps which help horse owners look after their horses and connect them with the equine businesses when they need them most. So we can spend less time sitting trolling through paperwork and more time actually spend time with our horses.
And am I right in saying that you're looking at expanding it out as well to animals?
Wink, wink.
Fantastic. Given that I'm a proud owner of a new little pup, I'm excited to see what else you're bringing to the platform in that one as well. So what was a key thing that inspired you to build the business?
So I've been involved with horses for over 16 years now. I've worked on yards, all from local yards in Northern Ireland, all the way up to international yards with horses worth millions. And the thing that always stuck out to me was, not only is it very difficult as a horse owner where I only have one, to juggle all the worming, shoeing, veterinary, physio, dentist, etc. Whenever you're running a yard with, you could have 500 horses on a yard and some of them are worth millions. It's all being done in your head, on paper, maybe the notes app on your phone. And there's countless times where the wrong medication's been given, or a horse has missed an appointment. Or, for example, my horse, she had to have spinal surgery about 3-4 years ago now. And she went to a specialist down south. But whenever she came back up home, there was no way to actually connect with the physios, the saddle fitters, the farriers that were needed for ongoing rehab. So it was all on me to try and troll pieces of paper and hand over the correct information. And I'm not a vet, so this is why I wanted to build Stable Manager. I call it the Equine World's Hub, because it's one place where you can store all the information that you need for your horses and just make your life a bit easier. Give you the information where you need it, which is in the palm of your hand, on your phone or on your laptop, not in a filing cabinet in the office somewhere.
So given that we've got a lovely room full of people here aspiring to start a business, or they've literally just started a business, and likewise with the various different individuals online, what's the one piece of advice that you would give them about starting a business?
I think it's the authenticity piece, where it's going to be hard. There's no beating around the bush. It's going to be really tough. It's going to maybe you're going to drop your income for a bit before you move on, or maybe it's going to take up all your evenings and weekends for a bit before you move on. But if you stay like authentic to why you started the business, why you're passionate about it, it shines through. You know, you can have the best website in the world, you could have professional photo shoots, you could have all this, but if you don't have that authenticity piece of I've started this business because I'm passionate about whatever it is, I think that shines through. And as we said earlier, you know, there's so many platforms out there. There's Instagram, there's Facebook, there's all your social media that are very low cost. And I think just having that passion for what you are passionate about really shines through, and that'll help get you through the long nights and early mornings, and in my case, staring at a laptop for 12 hours a day.
Thank you very much for sharing that. I'm sure everybody appreciates those insights for sure. So is there a particular aha moment that suddenly made you go, I've really got to take this leap of faith. I've really got to jump in. I've got to start focusing on my business rather than your work that you were doing to support others, because you still do support other customers.
Yeah, so I previously, as I said, worked as a software engineer. So I graduated from university. To be honest, I've been thinking about stable manager since 2015, and just went, oh no, I'm not ready. I'll wait till I get my degree and then I'll have, you know, the skills. And then you graduate and you go, oh, well, maybe I should get some real world experience. And then you're working for a while, and the more you learn that you don't know. So it was always, oh, I'll wait. And then one day I was just like, this is something I'm really passionate about. You know, even whenever I was in my software engineering role, I was like, it'd be really cool if it could do this. It could be really cool if the platform could do this. But, you know, I was there to build what had been designed. And I went, you know what, I just need to go and do this. And it was August last year that I just sort of made the leap. And I always say it's a bit like, you know, jumping off a cliff and hoping that your parachute works, because I didn't have it all figured out. But over the following couple of months, it came together, and, you know, I'm now in the position I'm in. I'm very lucky to be at this full time. And yeah, I've never been happier. Probably, you know, have a few greys going on here somewhere, but definitely I'm really much happier.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing that. So the lovely Palmer Lilburn was hoping to join us in person today. And Pamela is going to join us quickly now in part of that conversation and understand a little bit more about her. Good morning, Pamela. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. And sorry I can't be there in person, but it is lovely to be online with you guys.
Well, you're with us in spirit, and that's the most important thing. Thank you for joining us. Pamela, would you, for the audience, both online and in person, would you just share a little bit about your background and the community that you came from? Because we're sitting here in Ledcom, in Lawn, not so far afield from where you were born, and you've now joined into the country life and a serial entrepreneur.
Yes, so I was born in Larne, so yeah, just around the corner. Moved out to the countryside, Cronalbina, a few years. I think I was just starting primary school whenever we ventured out in there, and the love of the countryside just yeah, just kind of took over me. And my mum and dad always said that they thought I would marry a farmer. I was a country girl at heart, and so here I am today, married to a dairy farmer and now living in Moira. I am, again, as I said, not from a farming background, was not brought up in a farming background, but I'm an accountant as a career choice. And but we have 3 young children now, and I always knew that I could do accountancy, but I needed a place at home. It is hard work keeping 3 young children, and when you are trying to work full time or part time, childcare costs are extreme. And when you're married again to a dairy farmer who is working all the crazy hours, a lot of kind of the home life it fell to me, and I needed to try and find the balance. And with working in employment, I just wasn't able to do that. And for kind of the last couple of years, I have been toying back and forth about, like, I needed I needed to find a way home. But I, as much as I love my children, did not, the being a home parent or being, with the kids that full time, and that wasn't for me. I knew that my kids are going to grow up and I need to make sure that I still have something there for me at the end of that. And so Richard had this wonderful idea of we are dairy farmers, we have an amazing product. Why can we not get that product directly out to our customers? And so that is whenever we looked into our business in Brookvale Farm. It's just milk. And that is exactly what it is. We started in February 2015, a milk vending machine here on the farm. And it is my fourth baby, and that was my way home. And yeah, I am trying to muddle my way through being at home, still obviously get to be here with the kids and stuff, but still have that something that I can focus on, and that's Pamela, being able to do that. That's not mum. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
So I think it's fair to say that your priorities obviously changed over a period of time, and therefore it was readdressing what was of the most importance and how could you position yourself. So knowing what you know now, is there anything that you would have done differently when you first started out?
I would have took the leap sooner. I really did. I backtracked forth and back and forth. Should I do this? Should we do this? Is this right? But now that we have taken that leap, I really do wish we had have done it sooner. I think COVID, played a help in giving me that push, because I was at home more with the kids. I was able to kind of use some of that time to look more into where I could be using myself. And yeah, it definitely gave me the push to be like, right, okay, I just need to take this leap. And definitely now where we're at now, I know that the market is there for our product. What we are doing, we have already grown incredibly from February. And I think you just need to have that confidence in yourself. And I wish I'd had that sooner.
Two great pieces of advice, one of confidence and one of always end up starting sooner rather than later. If there was one added piece of advice that you could give to anybody else in the room about becoming an entrepreneur, what might that be?
I think it probably leads back to just believing in yourself. Take that leap. If you have that idea, like Rachael had mentioned this as well, you're always having that idea, but if you are passionate about something, passion, it drives you, and that is what drives me. I think you just have to have that confidence and take that leap and just believe in yourself and surround yourself with people who will push you and who will give you that support that you need. I think it's really important to have a support network. Like my husband has stood alongside me. Yes, he is so busy doing other things, but he knew this is something deep down that I wanted to do. I wanted to come home to be able to provide a support network for my family, but also have something then that I could still be Pamela. So yeah, surround yourself with people that are encouraging to you, and just go for it.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. I'm just going to hand back to Rachael here for a moment and ask the question, what is your definition of success? Because I think this is a big word that gets bandied around, and I think most people tend to put the definition of success from a monetary perspective. And I'd just love to understand a little bit about what you think what success is for you.
This is a philosophical one. I like it. I'd say, to be honest, for me, success is freedom, in that freedom to do what you want to do. So it's freedom to, obviously financial freedom comes into it, where you're not scrapping every penny and you're able to get by and live a comfortable lifestyle. But for me, it's the freedom to be able to, pursue the business that I wanted to pursue, the freedom to, I have a software platform. So whenever I want to add functionality to it, I'm like, oh, it'd be great if I could do this. I can. And like it comes for product businesses as well. Like I'm in a community of a lot of equestrian product owners, and like that's what they say is like, you know, clothing brands. Oh, I just love that I could bring out this range that was in this shades or, you know, tie dye or whatever's in at the minute. And that to me, success is being able to like wake up in the morning and do things that you're really passionate about. And there's a lot of less glamorous side to it too, where, you know, nobody really likes sitting down staring at a spreadsheet for hours, but you know that you're doing it to get to where you want to be. Or you go, well, when this is done, I'll be able to submit it and I'll be able to push forward with my business, or, you know, in life, because at the end of the day, like we do need to live our lives. You know, I'm competing my horse Grand Prix level, which was always a dream of mine. And she's, you know, she's a wee Irish horse. And I'm a wee Irish lass. So being able to just pursue those things has been really, really changing for me.
Thank you for sharing. Really appreciate it. Pamela, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think personal satisfaction, you know, monetary, you know, everybody thinks, oh, this big successful business, you know, the pounds are rolling in. That's not, I think it, to myself, that's not what it's all about. It's about finding that balance, and about being just satisfied where you are. Yes, obviously, if you're able to have you know, an income from that, but it's finding what's right for you as a person and getting to that level of life that you're comfortable with. Yes, you still want to obviously continue to push yourself, but just having that real, you know, everybody talks about it, that work-life balance. And I think in the world we're living in now, everybody, that's what everybody's striving for. Do you know, it's not all work and no play. You have to have a life outside of work. And if you can do that with your own business, then I think that is success.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing. I think we can all say safely that the last 2 years has given us all a huge wake-up call to really recognize what's important in our life, who's important in our life, and how do we spend that 24 hours. So I love the fact that you've both touched on very important factors in surrounding yourselves with the right people that are going to support you, encourage you, empower you, and really get you to live those dreams. We at the Seed Formula, under the Seed Formula, and we at Simple Series will be helping you really, really harness your why, the importance of your why, because I'm a great believer over the years, the various different people that I've met or worked with, many multimillionaires and billionaires, and you might be deceived in thinking that some of those people are the happiest in the world. They're not. So money doesn't bring you the happiness factor for sure, but what it does do is it gives you the ability to choose more about how you want to spend your time. So building from a passion, from a drive, pulling in that resilience and tenacity, knowing it's something that you really, really want to do makes all the difference to achieving that success for sure. So, Rachael, just over to you again. What is it that you've enjoyed about setting up your own company? What's the fun bits?
Fun bits? Well, no, I'm only joking. No, definitely. It's having that control over the vision, you know. So I'm a software engineer by, you know, I've got a degree in computer science and I've worked in software engineering, but I always wanted to, you know, also work in product and also be in charge of, you know, marketing and social media and all these things. And being in the sort of CEO role means that you can put procedures in place. Now, I'm a sole founder at the moment. There will be a point where obviously I need to hire and scale, but having that control to do something you're passionate about and make a difference, I think that's the thing that really excites me. And, you know, there's been things along the way, like I've met some really amazing people. I've done things that I never thought I would do before. You know, I've pitched in front of real like industry leaders, and, you know, you just get really connected. And like, as we were saying earlier, meeting people who are doing the same thing, even if it's not the same business, but the same, you know, we're all entrepreneurs, you find yourself in this like real community of people who get it. And I think that's been really, really eye-opening.
Fantastic. Thank you. Pamela, we might, well, many people in the room either would know you or have seen you or heard of you through Countryfile. And as an avid watcher, we got the tail ends on a little snippet last week to say that you're definitely going to be on this Sunday. Tell us a little bit about the story, how you and the family ended up on Countryfile, and do you find that fun, or is it actually really quite stressful?
Do you know, it has been the most incredible experience. We could never have imagined being approached to be Countryfile's farm for a year, and it comes with, obviously, it's good points and it's bad points. Obviously, farming, you know, you can showcase it all. Everybody will always have their own opinions. So it has been amazing to be a part of the show. It's been amazing to showcase our business. Obviously, we only started in February and the first episode went out in April. So to have that launch of what we were doing and that, you know, in the people's eye, it was incredible for our business. What goes on in the background is quite stressful. It's not all pretty and plain sailing. It is long days with the filming and the crew, but it is so exhilarating. Like us as a family, my children getting to be involved, it's incredible. And we possibly would never have had that opportunity had we not have been launching the vending machine kind of height of COVID, and Countryfile wanted to follow along with that. But it has been an amazing experience. We have met so many amazing people, but yeah, it's hard work, but seeing yourself on the TV, and not just ourselves, but our business and our, you know, our fourth baby is incredible. And the feedback we have had from that, and obviously I mentioned then last night we held an event with the Armagh Food and Cider Festival, and that came off the back of them seeing us and us being involved with Countryfile. So it opens up so many avenues. So yes, it is all a bit crazy when it's happening and filming is happening, but it has been, yeah, a wonderful experience and something that I would never been involved with if I had been sitting as my little accountant self behind a desk. So yeah, really thankful for the opportunity they've given us as well.
So you talked there about some of the stressful situations. How do you manage that as a young mum running a business, knowing that you've got all this added filming to deal with for the rest of the year? How do you manage your stress?
Step outside and scream. No. Sometimes you just have to realize when it gets to a point, you know, you're not in control of everything. And I think once you can accept that and say, right, okay, like I need a little bit of help here, or I'm not sure what's going on, you know, this is all getting a little bit too much. And I think it's being able to say that it gets a little bit too much sometime, and again, surrounding yourself with that support network. So obviously my husband, my kids, my mother and father-in-law have all been involved. So we are a real tight-knit team here on the farm. We really do operate as a team, and I think it really comes back to that and being able to sit down and talk through all of your stresses. You know, okay, so where are we going next, or where do we need to be going, and having just using your voice and not being scared to say, right, okay, this is all a bit much. We need to take a little step back. And as I say, in terms of Countryfile, like they are fantastic. You know, they're always there to answer, you know, any questions, or, you know, talk about any, you know, stresses or things. But we are still running a business in the background. And at the very start, I think I'll say it, like I think they kind of forgot that. You know, they were obviously they knew what they had to get done, but I had to be quite forthcoming and be like, right, I'm still running a business here. You have to work with me. And I think once I put on my big girl pants and said that to them, then they were like, right, okay, yes, maybe we were kind of being a bit overpowering and, you know, kind of going a bit overboard. So it brought us all back in line as to where we needed to be. And I think it's important to realize and to stand up if you have something to say, and be able to say it and feel comfortable to be able to say it. So yeah, it does get stressful, but you know, and finding your way. Obviously, everybody deals with stress differently, and it is so important to find how you can manage your stress levels. And I think if you do that at the outset, then if you ever do get into a heightened stress, you know, levels or whatever, you'll know then how to kind of bring yourself back down. I think it's a really important, you know, tactic to use.
Thank you, Pamela. Really important and valuable points there. The key, again, is just reminding yourself, we all have the same 24 hours every day. Yes, you have X, Y, and Z to get done. Yes, there's always tomorrow or mañana. But working and focusing on what are the core things that need to be done today. So as some of you start to grow your business, or maybe you've just started, those first hires are going to be really important. And those first outsourcings is going to be really important. So never underestimate what it is that maybe you don't really want to be doing in your business and someone else could do for you instead. Because our focus is always be the best that you can be at what you do and focus on what it is that you do the best. Surround yourself with the right team, and there's no question whatsoever you will always be a success. So, Rachael, have you had, you know, going from a software engineer to now being your own boss and building an amazing platform, potentially 2 platforms, it's probably came along with some fears and doubts and worries along the way. How have you managed those?
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt that it's stressful. Like, I don't think anybody could, you know, look somebody in the eye and say, oh, running a business isn't stressful. Now, I'm very grateful with my background in elite sport. I have worked on, you know, not getting nervous at competitions. And now I genuinely, hand on heart, can say that I go to a competition and I don't get nervous, because what I just have to tell myself is it's just dressage. You know, at the end of the day, it's the same test you do at home. You're just showcasing it at an event. And if I brought that mindset into business as well, like business and sport are actually quite similar, and, you know, working with your team and, as you say, knowing who the experts are. And it's just kind of accepting that, okay, you know, perfection isn't going to happen. Nobody gets 100% in a dressage test, and nobody has a 100% perfect business. But you take on the challenge, you take a breath, you think it's not life or death, and then you work through it, and just chipping away at the small things, whether it's something I'm trying to implement in the app, or whether it's, you know, trying to get your head around marketing, or, you know, I was doing a lot of like live streaming and Clubhouse and podcasts and stuff like that. That came with a learning curve, and I didn't really know how to do it before I started. And it's just chipping away and trying not to get overwhelmed by the, I want to have my business here by then. It's going, what can I do today? What can I do tomorrow? What can I do this week? Who can I ask for help? Who knows about this? And just chipping away at it, trying not to get overwhelmed by the big picture.
And in that sense, then, what is it that best motivates you?
That's a good one. I think it's just that I'm so passionate about what I do. And that sounds really, you know, like, oh, that's an easy answer, and you're just saying that. But genuinely, it's something that keeps me up at night in a good way. You know, I'll be like trying to go to sleep and I'm like, oh, I could do this, or, oh, a partnership with them would be amazing, or, oh, I've already developed this and then I could connect it to use this technology. And, you know, that's what really, really excites me. And that's what I always liked about the software engineering space and the computer science space. My background's actually like AI, machine learning, with like, you know, and that's like the cutting edge technology, and being able to integrate pieces of that in the app. I know I'm going to sound like such a big nerd here, but it genuinely, it just really, really excites me. And, you know, it's seeing all the small wins. And, you know, like during the Olympics, we were doing a lot of posting about, you know, the results of the Irish and the British teams. And we had loads of Olympians coming back and saying, oh yeah, and joining waiting lists and things like that. And there's just small wins every day. And I think it's celebrating them as well. Like whether that's sitting down with a cup of tea and a biscuit and saying, I did a good job today, or a bottle of bubbly, you know, whatever. But, and it's just celebrating the wins. And I think that keeps you going.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. So for anyone in the room or anyone online, if you've got a specific question, please feel free to drop it in the chat. And is there anybody in the room that would like to ask a question to either Pamela or Rachael? Just raise a hand. The lovely Jay has just said she has huge admiration for Pamela because she herself has young children and she knows the challenges that are faced with that. So having achieved what you've achieved to date, she believes is absolutely fantastic. So Jackie said, how difficult is it to work on the business as opposed to in the business? Great question, Jackie. Thank you for asking that one. Pamela.
I think it's important to do both, because whenever you're working in the business, you can see where you need the business to go, or improvements for the business. It is difficult, I think, to put on the I'm the owner hat, and it is me that needs to work on the business and find ways of having the answers, I suppose, to the questions. So it is quite difficult, I would just say, but I think it's important to work in the business just to try and figure out where you need to then work on the business, if that makes sense.
Yes, of course. But I think one of the, my observation over the years has really been that an awful lot of people spend so much time working in the business constantly. And what they don't necessarily do is take that moment of stepping back and taking that helicopter approach to actually look in the business and identify what's going on, what needs to happen, are we on target, what is the bigger plan, how are we looking at 6 months, 12 months, has anything else changed in the sector or the industry, what's really important for us to be paying attention to in the business right now, and even really looking at your competition. Because it's sometimes what happens is business owners become so insular in what they're looking at that actually they only focus on that and they don't actually look at what else is happening outside. So it's a really important and valuable thing to do from a viewpoint of making sure that you do it on a regular basis. So if you're not doing that helicopter view once a month or at least once a quarter, you need to be doing.
Yeah, so you don't become stagnant.
Yes.
You don't want to just kind of be set in your ways. And I suppose I think I kind of do it subconsciously as well, because there isn't really anybody else to do that role. So yeah, I think it is, as you say, it's important to kind of have that step back. But it is difficult, because when you're so engrossed in what is going on in the day-to-day runnings, but you obviously have to continually make that plan. The plan won't make itself. And I think, as you say, yeah, it's important to ensure that you are continue to further that plan and make sure that you know where the business needs to go in, and where you maybe need to, set if it needs to go off in a slightly different direction, or if it has started to go in a slightly different direction, how to bring it back on the course, that you want it to follow.
Yeah, really important. And, we've seen over the last 18 months how many different businesses have ended up pivoting through COVID. So an important note to ask. So next question is from Nicola. I'm going to pose that to yourself, Rachael. What mediums or platforms have you found best to communicate with you, to communicate what it is you do to your audience and your customers?
Yeah, I think the power of social media is really, really key. Obviously I'm a software engineer. I've built a website, we've got all that going as well, but it's actually connecting with people and connecting sort of on social media, being authentic, like especially for like sole traders or people who are, like they're their own boss, actually coming on and being like, I'm the person behind the product, I think really, really is important. I've had a lot of success with, like live streams and podcasts where I've either been interviewing people or being interviewed and talking that way. And just kind of getting yourself out there. I think it's very easy to get perfectionisty with it and be like, oh, I'm not going to have an Instagram unless it's beautifully branded and it's all in a color scheme. And, you see some of them and they are phenomenal. But it's remembering that those people probably have a social media manager and a social media team and department So I think just getting started, and like I know I've got a great network of equestrian businesses, and like I just love going on and seeing what they're doing and how everybody's acting. You know, people going on their stories and saying, "Oh, I'm walking my dog today, and it's a good job I have my coat because you know it's waterproof and whatever." I'm like, "Oh, right, okay, I can see that being used," and seeing the reality as well. I think that's really it's free to do, you know, on social media, and it really really works, I think.
Great, thank you. So again, if you've got any more questions, do feel free to put them in the chat. Denise. Okay, so Denise has just posed a question with regards ensuring, how do you ensure that the passion and the service marry up? So in essence, to make sure that you're getting paid. So if you're someone that has got a fantastic product or you've got a service and you find yourself in a position that you're maybe offering a little bit too much of your service for free, how do you reposition and look at making sure that you find that fine line between making sure you're getting paid for what it is you're providing, whether it's a product or a service? Pamela, do you want to, I know what you're providing principally is more about products, but there is a service in there as well, because you've got your customer service, it's the engagement, it's Brookfield Farm, it's the farm shop, it's the added extras that come with that as well.
I think it is just about ensuring that you are attaching the correct value. So many people will go out there and you know, offer all of this advice for free, but you know, on another hand, then there's somebody else who is charging for that advice. So I think it's you know, valuing your own worth as well, because there is, yes, a lot of information out there that people can go and access, but if they came to you directly, if you are offering that service, it's ensuring that you know you're having to pull the resources together and your time, and it's ensuring that you do value it. And yes, sometimes it is hard and people may not be you know, as forthcoming or wanting to maybe pay what they should be, but I think you really have to just again put on your big girl pants and be strong and say, no, but this is what this is worth and this is what I can offer you. And if they then in turn choose to you know, take up that service, well, all being good. But and if they don't let in that think, well, oh, maybe I need to pull back that, maybe I am charging too much, because just because one person has made a comment or you know hasn't came on board because they feel that your you know of your costings is too much or your price is too much, doesn't mean to say that next person will feel. So I think it's just ensuring that you know your worth and that you stick to it.
Fantastic. Great answer. I hope that helps, Denise. Wonderful. So I'm going to pass the last question over before break, I think, to Rachael. So John, thank you for the question. Have you suffered from imposter syndrome? And if so, what coping mechanisms do you use to get past it?
I've always got a really good story for this, right? So Michelle Obama was interviewed and she was asked, like, how do you feel sitting in a room in front of all these big, influential, like incredibly intelligent, typically men? And she was like, well, the first thing you realize is that most of them aren't that smart. You know, and it's a bit tongue in cheek, but nobody has it figured out. Like, I'm sure Mark Zuckerberg doesn't have everything figured out, you know, the CEO of Facebook. And, you know, it's just telling yourself, nobody has it 100% together. I'm just going to show up and I'm going to do my best. And that's where my sporting background really plays in, because like in my sport and dressage, you literally have a judge or multiple judges who are scoring you and writing down all your faults. So doing that, like, I'm never going to get 100%. Like, nobody in the world has ever got 100%. But it's going through your test, and if you make a mistake in one movement, you breathe, you compose yourself, and you move on, and you keep going. And it's actually the people who breathe, compose themselves, and keep going that don't then continue to make mistakes because they're panicked. And it's the same in business. Like with imposter syndrome, I think it's great people are talking about it, and I think it's great that people are opening up about it. But there also can be the side where you go, oh, well, I have imposter syndrome, so I'm not going to do this, or I'm not going to push myself out there because of my imposter syndrome. And I think it's just taking it and going, well, I'm not going to let this hold me back. And I'm just going to go out there. And at the end of the day, if you're authentic and you're real, if you make a mistake, if you fluff your words, people are going to be okay with it. And yeah, it's just telling yourself that we're going to do this. You've got this. Give yourself a wee pep talk before you go out. And yeah, I think everybody suffers from it to some level.
Great answer. Thank you so much, Rachael. I think it's a very valid point in today's society, especially dealing with social media, because people find it such a huge challenge to, oh, but everybody's going to judge everybody. The reality is the one person who's always going to judge you is yourself. And I think if you stand in a place of it's your knowledge, it's your business, it's your experience, let's not worry about what anybody else thinks and just focus on what it is that you want to do, what you want to build, and how you want to support yourself better in your dream, in your life. So with that, we are going to take a break. For everybody that's in the room, we've got teas and coffees organized. And for those of you online, you've got the chance to go into, well, you've got the chance to go and have your quick cuppa as well, but also to jump into breakout rooms, and we've got a few fun questions for you. So we can do some of those questions in the room as well for anybody that wants to play. All right, folks, we shall be resuming back at 11:30 for our panel discussion and Q&A. Thank you very much.